My name is Bilal. I am 14 years old. I live in a small town with my parents and younger sister. I love reading books. Books are my best friends. They take me to new places, show me new ideas, and make me dream. Every Saturday, I go to the town library. It is my favorite place in the whole town. The library is big and quiet. It has many shelves full of books. There are books on animals, science, history, and stories. But I like the adventure books the most. I love stories about hidden treasure, lost islands, and brave explorers. One Saturday morning, I woke up early. I was excited to go to the library. I quickly brushed my teeth, took a shower, and got ready. My mother had made paratha and chai for breakfast. Eat properly, she said. You always rush to the library. I will. We, I replied with a smile. After breakfast, I packed my bag with a notebook and pen. Sometimes I write the names of the books I read. I also keep a pencil in case I want to draw something. I put on my shoes, waved goodbye, and walked to the library. The sun was shining, birds were singing, and the air felt fresh. It was a beautiful day. The library was not very far. It was about a 15-minute walk from my house. I passed small shops, a park, and some schoolchildren playing cricket. When I reached the library, I saw the librarian sitting at the front desk. Good morning, uncle, I said cheerfully. Good morning, Bilal, he said. Back for another adventure? Yes, I said. I hope I find something exciting today. I walked up to the second floor. That's where the fiction books and adventure novels are. I looked at the shelves, reading the titles one by one. One book caught my eye. It was called The Secret Island. The cover had a picture of a small boat and palm trees. It looked interesting. I picked the book and sat down in my favorite corner by the window. The corner was quiet. I could see the park from the window. A few children were flying kites outside. I opened the book and started reading. The story was about a boy who finds a message in a bottle. He follows clues to an island. I was enjoying the story when I felt something strange. The book felt heavier than normal. The back cover seemed a bit thick. Curious, I closed the book and opened the back cover. Inside, I saw something folded. It looked like old paper. I slowly pulled it out. It was yellow and had many lines drawn on it. I opened the paper carefully. It was a map, a real-looking map. It had hills, trees, a river, and a big red X in the middle. At the top, it said, "Treasure map, do not lose." I looked around. No one was watching me. The library was quiet. My heart started beating faster. Was this real? A treasure map inside a library book? I folded the map and put it in my bag. I tried to keep calm, but I was very excited. My quiet Saturday had just turned into an adventure. I could not wait to find out what the map would lead to. And that was how it all began. When I reached home, I still couldn't believe what I had found. I kept thinking about the map inside the library book. My heart was still beating fast. I quickly went to my room and closed the door. I opened my school bag and carefully took out the map. I spread it on my table and looked at it closely. The paper looked old. The edges were torn a little, but the drawings were clear. There were pictures of trees, a river, hills, and a big red X in the center of the map. Above the map, it was written in big letters, "Treasure map, do not lose." Below the map, there was some writing. Follow the river, pass the 3 tall trees, then look for the stone with a red mark. The treasure is buried below. I read the words again and again. I touched the map with my fingers. I looked at each drawing. I was trying to understand where this place could be. Then I saw a name on the map. It was written in small letters near the top corner. Hassan's Park. My eyes grew wide. Hassan's Park was a small park near my school. I had been there many times. It had big trees, a small river, and many stones. Could the treasure be there? I wanted to go right away, but I knew it was already late. I decided to go the next day. But I didn't want to go alone. I picked up my phone and called my best friend, Imran. Hello, Imran. Can you come to my house? I need to show you something very important, I said. Okay, I'll be there in 15 minutes, he replied. When Imran arrived, I quickly closed the door and showed him the map. He looked at it and said, "Is this a real map? It looks very old." "I found it inside a library book," I said. "A treasure map in a book?" he asked, surprised. "Yes. And look here." I pointed. "It says Hassan's Park." Imran looked excited. "That's near our school. We must go and look." "Yes, but we must plan. We need to be careful. We don't know if it's real," I said. Imran nodded. "Let's go tomorrow morning. We'll take water, snacks, and a small shovel." "Okay. Meet me at 9 a.m. at the park gate," I said. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about the map, the treasure, and the adventure. I had read many treasure stories, but this time it was real. I was going to live one. The next morning, I woke up very early. The sun had just come out, and the sky was a soft orange. I got out of bed, brushed my teeth, and got dressed quickly. I wore old jeans, a comfortable t-shirt, and my sneakers. I packed a small bag with a treasure map, a bottle of water, a sandwich, and a small shovel from the garden shed. At exactly 9 a.m., I reached the gate of Hassan's Park. Imran was already there. He looked just as excited as me. He had also brought water, a flashlight, and another small shovel. "Ready?" I asked. "Ready," he said with a big smile. We entered the park. The park was quiet. The birds were singing, and a cool breeze was blowing. Some children were playing on the swings at the other end, but most of the park was empty. I took out the map and opened it. We both looked at it carefully. "First, find the river," I said. The map showed a small river running through the park. We started walking and soon saw the small stream at the edge of the park. The water was clean and made a soft sound as it moved over small stones. Tiny fish swam in the water, and dragonflies flew above. "This must be the river," Imran said. "Now, follow it until we see 3 tall trees," I said, reading the next clue aloud. We followed the river, walking slowly and looking all around. We crossed a small wooden bridge. We passed some bushes and flowers. After about 10 minutes, we saw them, 3 tall trees standing in a row. They were bigger and taller than the others. Their leaves made a lot of shade, and the trunks were thick and old. "There they are," I pointed. We ran to the trees and stood under them. It was cool and quiet under the shade. We looked around carefully. "Now look for a stone with a red mark," Imran read from the map. We split up and searched the ground near the trees. We looked behind bushes and near the roots of the trees. I moved some dry leaves and small rocks. Imran looked on the other side, near a bench. "I found it!" Imran shouted suddenly. I ran to him. He was pointing at a large flat stone. There was a small red mark on it, like someone had painted a line long ago. The stone looked like it hadn't been moved in years. "This is it," I said, breathing fast. "This is the place marked X on the map." We looked at each other, our eyes wide with excitement. "Let's start digging," I said. We took out our shovels and started digging near the stone. The ground was hard at first, but we didn't stop. We dug carefully, trying not to break anything. It was hard work, but we were excited. Sweat rolled down our faces, but we didn't care. "Imagine if there's gold in there," Imran said. "Or maybe old coins," I added. After a few minutes, Imran's shovel hit something hard. "Did you hear that?" he said. "Yes. Let's dig around it," I said quickly. We dug slowly and carefully, removing dirt from the sides. Then we saw it, a small metal box. It was old and rusty but still closed. There was a design on the top, maybe a name, but it was too faded to read. We looked at each other. We had really found something. "This is the treasure," I whispered. We pulled the box out of the hole and wiped the dirt off. Our hands were shaking with excitement. We had no idea what was inside, but we were ready to find out. "Let's open it," Imran said. And with that, our adventure was about to get even more interesting. We sat on the grass and looked at the box. It was covered in dirt and rust. The metal was dark, and the corners were sharp. There was a small lock, but it looked old and weak. "We didn't have a key," Imran said. "Should we try to break the lock?" "Yes," I nodded. "Let's use a rock." Imran picked up a big rock and hit the lock gently. At first, nothing happened. Then he hit it again, a little harder. The lock made a cracking sound. On the third hit, it broke open. We opened the lid slowly. We were both holding our breath. Inside the box, we saw a small notebook, some shiny coins, and an old photograph. Imran picked up the coins. "These are gold," he said. I looked closely. The coins were old but shiny. They had pictures of a crown and numbers that looked like years. 1880, 1895, and 1902. I had never seen coins like that before. I picked up the notebook. It was small and brown. The cover was soft, like leather. Inside were pages filled with writing. The handwriting was neat but old. It was a journal. The first page said, "To the person who finds this box, you have discovered something special. I am Bilal, a school teacher. I love books and stories. I found these coins on a trip many years ago. I wanted to hide them so that someone curious, like me, could one day find them." I looked at Imran. "His name is Bilal. That's my name too." "That's so strange," Imran said. "Maybe it was meant for you." We turned the pages. There were short notes about where he found the coins. He visited old towns and collected them from people. He wanted to teach history, but he never had the chance. So, he wrote his stories in this notebook and hid the box. There was also a small photo. It showed a smiling man standing next to a big tree. He had a kind face and wore simple clothes. On the back of the photo it said, "Me in Hassan's Park, the place of my story." "He took this photo here," I whispered. "Yes," Imran said. "He really wanted someone to find this and remember him." We sat quietly for a moment. We didn't speak. We just looked at the photo and the notebook. It was more than treasure. It was a message from the past. Then I smiled. We found something better than gold. We found a story. Imran nodded. And now we are part of it. After we read the notebook and looked at the photo, we carefully placed everything back inside the metal box. We closed the lid and sat quietly for a moment. The wind blew gently, and the leaves made a soft sound above our heads. "We can't keep this," I said softly. "No," Imran agreed. "It belongs to everyone. It's a part of history." We decided to take the box home and clean it. We put it inside my bag and walked back through the park. We felt proud, like real explorers. We had followed a map, searched for clues, and found something important. When I reached home, my mother was in the kitchen. She looked at me and said, "You look tired. Did you find a good book?" I smiled. "Yes, Ummi. I found a real adventure." I showed the box to my parents. They were very surprised. "Where did you find this?" my father asked. "In Hassan's Park. We followed a treasure map that I found inside a library book," I explained. My father opened the box and looked at the coins, notebook, and photo. He smiled. "This is very interesting. We should show this to someone who knows about history." The next day, my father took us to a local museum. We met a kind man named Mr. Rafiq. He was a historian. He wore glasses and loved old things. We told him the whole story. He listened carefully. Then he picked up the coins and said, "These are real coins. They are more than 100 years old. They don't have much money value, but they are special because of the story." He looked at the notebook. "This is even more special. It tells us about a person who lived many years ago. He loved stories and learning." We gave everything to the museum. Mr. Rafiq said, "We will put this in a glass case with a small card that tells your story." A few weeks later, Imran and I visited the museum again. There, in the center of the room, was the metal box. Inside, you could see the coins, the notebook, and the photograph. On the card, it said, "Treasure found in Hassan's Park by Bilal and Imran, age 14. A gift from the past, shared with the future." Imran smiled. "We are part of the museum now." "Yes," I said. "And now everyone can enjoy the treasure, not just us." When we went back to school, our teacher asked us to tell the class what happened. We stood in front of our friends and shared the full story. Everyone listened quietly. Some students clapped. Some even asked questions. It was the best day of the school year. From that day, everyone at school called us the Treasure Boys. It made us laugh, but it also made us proud. Our small adventure had become a big story. After our big adventure, life slowly went back to normal. But something inside me had changed. I still went to the library every Saturday, just like before. But now, I looked at every book differently. I always checked the back pages, just in case I found another surprise. Imran and I often visited Hassan's Park. We would walk to the spot where we dug up the box. The grass had grown back, but the big flat stone was still there. We sat on it sometimes and talked about our adventure. One day, Imran said, "I think that teacher, the old Bilal, wanted us to find the box." I nodded. "Yes, it's like he left a message for someone like us." We learned many things from our journey. We learned how to work together, how to follow clues, and how to be patient. We also learned that sometimes the greatest treasures are not gold or money, but stories, memories, and knowledge. At school, our story inspired other students too. One girl said, "Now I want to read more books. Maybe I'll find something interesting too." That made me smile. Our teacher said something that I will never forget. "You boys showed that reading can lead to real adventures. Books are powerful. They are not just for school. They can change your life." That made me proud. I felt happy that we did something good, not just for ourselves, but for others too. From that time on, I wrote my own short stories. I started keeping a small notebook, just like the one in the box. I wrote about our adventure and other ideas in my mind. I even drew maps. Maybe one day, I will leave a story hidden somewhere. Maybe some curious child, like me, will find it and go on their own journey. Because now, I know something very true. Stories are not only in books. Sometimes, the best stories are the ones we live. We just have to be brave enough to follow the map when we find it.